Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Today we're back with fiction author and former news reporter, Dani Safford. Hey, Dani, welcome back.
Thanks for having me again.
Sure, thanks for joining us again. And today I want to talk all about author branding with you. So, Dani, how do you define your personal brand as an author, and how does it reflect in your writing and public presence?
So, when it comes to my personal brand as an author, I would say it's, I guess, authentically nostalgic, maybe with a twist of empowerment and self discovery. This is my debut novel, so who's to say that that won't change? I think that being flexible and growing as just a writer in general and growing as a human, those are all important things to embrace rather than sticking to one idea of something. As I approach 40, I'm embracing the idea that my journey is not linear and my writing shouldn't be either. So yeah, I'd say in short, my brand is probably authentic and unapologetic.
Right, right. Now, what strategies have you found most effective in connecting with your readers and building a bigger audience?
So when it comes to connecting with my readers and building an audience, social media is a game changer. So that was something that didn't exist. I actually wrote a book of poetry in 2006. It's actually published under my maiden name, and it's great to be able to do that, but it was really difficult to get readers and interested and build a connection because there really was no social media then. So Instagram is what I've been using. Instagram Reels have kind of given me like that perfect sweet spot. It's not overwhelming where I'm having to produce these lengthy videos, but something that traditionally doesn't have visual like publicity for it, like a book. It's not the same as a movie. So I think that that's really where the leverage comes from, is using social media to my advantage and being able to create visuals for the novel. That has really created a major impact and helped me to gain followers and people who are just genuinely interested in reading what I had to write.
Yeah, I can see how it really brings the book to life
It
and
really
just
does.
really eye-catching and enticing for the audience. Now, how do you balance being a storyteller with the business side of being an author, such as marketing and promotion?
Right, right. So that's the part that was like one of the most challenging things for me. I actually took a few marketing classes and just kind of learned the basics and like very rudimentary lessons on how to sort of like brand yourself, how I can market my whatever the platform is that you're trying to sell to people on social media. But marketing and promotion don't really feel like a chore for me when it comes to this, because this is kind of a passion project of mine. This novel is kind of an extension of myself. So marketing it is just more passion that I have for it. I think that when you really believe in what you're showing and ideally hoping to sell to your audience, it really reflects when they can tell that you have a passion for it, that you're excited about it. So it's less like selling and work and more like just me being excited about something that I've created.
Right. Now, in terms of presentation, because we talked about this in section one a little bit on your background in journalism, but how has your journalism background influenced how you present yourself and your book in the public?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a level of professionalism that kind of comes across, whether intentionally or subconsciously, just because I was in the public eye for a long time as a journalist. Journalism taught me to keep things real and authentic while still maintaining a level of composure and professionalism. I try my best to be as authentic as I possibly can, but also we have to consider we have a wide audience that we're trying to target like a wide demographic, or at the very least, we're trying to draw people in. And people who don't necessarily know me, I don't want to have anyone be put off by authenticity or realism. You have to find that balance. But I feel like I'm able to sort of do that with social media because it is kind of small glimpses into my real life. I also like to provide a little bit more transparency into my own life. A huge like storyline in my novel is about like love and real love, romance, long-term relationships, and a lot of that was influenced by my own marriage. So I do share like behind the scenes and information. My husband and I have been together for 19 years, so it's important to me that I have that storyline shared. I want my readers to see that I am a real person, and these experiences are what I'm writing about. They're not necessarily my exact experiences, but it translates well into my character's storyline. And I think that that definitely gives people the idea that, or allows people to see that I am human and I feel the same things that they feel. It builds a connection for sure.
Of course, yeah, very relatable. Now, I want to just kind of close, Danny, with asking you what advice would you give to debut authors about establishing their brand and making their work really stand out?
So, one of the biggest things that I would share with authors about establishing their brand, making their work stand out, is to embrace their uniqueness and own their story. And I'm not saying that everyone has to write from their own personal experience, but I do think that there is like this sort of idea that we have to be the same as others. So I've always kind of been like the awkward, dorky, sort of like goofball. And that was something that, you kind of get teased by, friends, but then maybe teased even more by people who aren't close to you. So growing up, I always sort of felt I had to stifle or mask my personality for a long time. And that sort of carried over into adulthood and into even my own writing. And when you're a journalist, you don't really have a ton of space to infuse it with your own personality. So when it came to my novel writing, I kind of made a deal with myself that I would write it as authentically as possible. So like the title is called Glass Hearted Millennial. And the reason for that is because I kind of have always been a little bit of a crybaby, like a super emotional person. And that was something that I always shied away from. But as I approach 40, I'm like, you know what? It's time to really embrace what makes me me. And if I feel things really deeply, then I should share that because there's probably a lot of other people out there who also feel things really deeply. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. Be who you are, be yourself, and that kind of will carry over into your writing.
Well, I love the fact that that's compassion, and sensitivity there's that's a really great thing to embrace, especially when you're a writer because there's so much emotion in writing.
Absolutely. And to be able to convey that in a way that I feel like, when I was sitting writing, I mean, sometimes I'm writing at, 2 a.m. and I'd be sitting here like, this is what I felt at this time. Now, when we're teenagers, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, there's a lot of angst involved. There's a lot of emotions happening at that time period of your life. But that's really kind of important. That's kind of the importance of the novel because when I was 15, I was discouraged from sharing that intensity. I was made to feel like I was like, oh, like I was too much and things like that. And I'm just done with that. I think that everyone should be true to who they are. And if you're somebody who wants to write about all the feels, then you should write about all the feels.
Well, Danny, thank you so much. That was wonderful insight on author branding.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's interview with fiction author and former news reporter Dani Safford. Be sure to check out our website for more videos. Wishing you all a fulfilling and successful writing journey.